They have always been so supportive. I started doing theater when I was a little kid, and I started doing music, and they always told me that I just should go for it. But you know, they've definitely had their fears. Like I said, when I dropped out of NYU, my dad was really afraid because he wanted me to live the college experience. New York influenced every bit of my music and my personality, I'd say, just because of how surrounded you are by so many different cultures and so many incredible, different, magnificent humans, you know, whether it's, you know, the construction guy at the end of the block or the halal stand at the end of my block or the tire guys. You know, I feel like you're surrounded by so much music and so much just kindness, but also realness, and I think that that's definitely influenced wherever we go for me. My parents are, I call them my Hobbit family. They're both little tiny humans that they were lawyers and they kind of retired now. My dad is very social. He's the most social guy in the world. Know your story if you were his cab driver, you gave him a drink at a bar, or he met you randomly on the street. He will be determined to find a way to help you with your life, and that's kind of the amazing and beautiful thing about him. And my mom is a badass to the 10th degree. She's just so, a lot of my friends are always intimidated by her, she always thinks is really funny, but once you get to know her, she's the most loving and nurturing mother, but she's definitely, you don't want to mess with her, because if you get on her bad side, she'll mess you up. So they were both, and it was really cool because it definitely influenced everything we had growing up, because, you know, with my mom, I went to NYU for like 3 months, and I didn't want to stay. I wanted to continue doing music and get out, and it was something my dad was really afraid of, but my mom was, and he eventually accepted it, but my mom knew she's always been about commitment, and if I was going to commit to that, then I better commit to not being in school and working full-time fully, and that's always been something I've learned from her. If you're going to do something, commit yourself entirely to it, and that doesn't mean you have to only do one thing your entire life, but if you are doing something, give everything you have to it. Mom, she does like wills and estates and things like that, and my dad does mediation and corporate law, but now he's trying to like make TV shows and live his dreams, which is rad. He's always wanted to do that. I think that they both have been they're always very creative, especially my dad. He's always, we make a joke that he should have a TV show where he just explains his ideas, like he should just explain new ideas that he has every day, and that should be the show, not the actual ideas. But I think that it definitely, the creative juices and addiction probably just came from a combination of growing up in New York and from them being so willing to let me just try new things. And I think that sort of let me feel like I could always do whatever my heart really, really desired, and that's what enriched all of it. They have always been so supportive. I started doing theater when I was a little kid, and I started doing music, and they always told me that I just should go for it. But you know, they've definitely had their fears. Like I said, when I dropped out of NYU, my dad was really afraid because he wanted me to live the college experience. He always has believed in backup plans, the plan Bs, and that's something that I've had to explain to him, that you know, he's so afraid of music. He's been so supportive as of the last few years, but he's always been afraid that it's a skeevy industry and you'll get screwed over and nobody will care about you and you'll never make any money, and you know, I don't really care about any of those things, but it's funny because he's starting to give over to it. But my mom, like I said, has always believed in just going for it, and so I think the support on Dad's side has been growing. Always supportive. He's always there, but he's just fearful. And I think that fear has been good to instill the reality check of it all and how it could all be gone tomorrow. And that has to instill the hard work. You have to work just as hard, even at the peaks, as you do in the rough moments. I think he started to realize that maybe I'd be okay. In a few moments, honestly though, he's still scared every day. Like even with the story of Lights Down Low right now, he's so supportive and it's beautiful. He's either the most supportive of it and the most excited, or the most afraid that it'll all be gone tomorrow. And I think that there's been certain milestones that he's realized maybe oh, maybe he can do this. You know, I think some of the tours, like the Fall Out Boy Wiz Khalifa tour, was really helpful for that, and some other tours. And definitely the song doing what it's doing right now, which has been amazing, has helped him. But he's just a worrier. Yeah, he just worries that, you know, something bad is going to happen or somebody's going to screw up and it'll all be gone. So it's good to have that there, though, because it always makes me want to prove to him that it's going to be okay and he can rest semi-easy, that we'll make it work. I grew up in a loft in Hell's Kitchen. We got married there. My mom's lived there for 43 years when it really was Hell's Kitchen, and that's why I rep it wherever I go. And it was a big, just lots of. It was a furniture factory, so there's all of the original wood is there, and I get splinters a lot as a kid, and I learned how to take the splinters out with tweezers, like from age 6 on, and everything. All the furniture is very. It's got a very cozy antique vibe, so it's all very squishy and cushy, but also these sort of modern, like as if you're in the MoMA, modern art paintings everywhere, and just big wooden pieces. They have the original where they would keep all the different pieces from the giant pieces of furniture they would make back in the day. So the actual shelving where they'd keep all the keys and all those different things and all that kind of stuff was all around my house. Big windows and yeah, that was the spot. And I had lots of parties on my roof and lots of good times. It was definitely like I went to school like 5 blocks away after high school, so we would all just come back and hang at the house after school and stuff. And it was a very nurturing environment, which was cool. I don't have any siblings now. Now that I'm married, I have 2 younger brothers, and Emily's family has 10 siblings total out of all the different family situations. So now I feel like I gained all these wonderful siblings. I have 2 younger twin brothers and all this stuff. But I grew up only child. A lot of only child syndromes. I still don't do my laundry. Emily does that. And I'm not really a functioning human. Like, I really can only sing and dance around and like wear clothes. There's really nothing else I can do very well. So I'm very lucky to have the most amazing partner to keep me alive and make sure that I, treat her right. And she dresses me very nicely too. So I definitely feel like I was way more open with my parents than a lot of friends of mine who might have had siblings growing up. I told my mom everything. I told my dad everything, but I told my mom everything especially. And I think that always threw some people off. Like, she would know if I, like when I smoked weed for the first time or things like that. She knew, and it didn't mean that she was all about it, but she was. And I think that's another thing, because I would have like the parties in my house and whatever else, and they were the type of parents that would rather it be in the house than me like wandering off and not approving of it. So I think because of that, I made a lot of mistakes early on and learned from those because they allowed me to make those mistakes, which was cool. But I also didn't get my driver's license until I was 22 years old because I grew up in New York, and little things like that. But some of the other adult things that I probably should have gotten going earlier on didn't really happen till later on, which my wife reminds me of a lot, which is cute. I didn't do any homeschooling. I was very lucky. I went to a lot of schools I went to were pretty small. Like my elementary and middle school growing up, there were like 20 kids in my class, and so it was a small school environment. But my high school was a performing arts school, and it was designed for people who were already maybe working, doing shows or movies or whatever else. So they allowed me to miss school whenever I'd have a movie or a show, and that was really really helpful, because there was a lot of kids who were all sort of in the same position, and they all felt the same feelings of missing so much school and not having that social environment. And because of that, it created its own social environment of this understanding, which was pretty awesome to have. So no, I never really had any homeschooling. But when we do shows, like when I did this show 13 growing up, it was all teens in the cast, and so we had on set homeschooling with like the 15 people that were in the cast. So it was I pretty much had the same experience via all the schooling, funny enough, I just realized, which is super funny. I'd say my classmates would describe me as a very energetic little bean. I was Schneider. what else? I was monkey. That's what's always, you know, I'm just always a little monkey. I had a lot of wonderful friends growing up. A lot of my friends were girls, because especially the schools I went to, like I think it was like 75% girls, 25% guys in a lot of my schools. So I definitely accepted a feminine energy very early on, I feel like, and it was something that I didn't really accept as much until I got married, and now my wife encouraged me to get chrome nails and live my best life, and I love her, and it's awesome. So I definitely would say they would just, yeah, energetic small bean. I was a very insecure kid, as many are, and for the internet, I would make videos and put them on YouTube and stuff like that, and I'll never forget that back in the MySpace days, like somebody in middle school, like one of these girls like stole my MySpace password, and I was freaking out, and I was like telling the teachers I was such a little shit, and I was like, no. So I feel like the internet instilled an insecurity, but it makes you acknowledge it, and so it helped me to accept my insecurities of being a small human and things like that, you know, and now I relish in it. I love it. Airplanes are easier, so many great things. Growing up, I had one mentor. His name was Mimo, and he is from Guinea, and I was in this African drumming group when I was in middle school and elementary school and stuff, and he's my spirit, you know. He always is with me in that his love for music and his love for people was so pure and was so beautiful that he kind of instilled the faith in humanity and the faith in music that I try to carry everywhere, and he always had a smile, and you know, he was very accepting, and even he spoke English pretty well, but like, you know, there was still a little bit of a language barrier, and I think because of that, it was so incredible to find different ways to communicate rather than just language, which was wonderful. And so I carried him in the human experience in every way, in acting and in music and whatever else, especially coming from such a different place of music. I'd had a few acting moments that, you know, I'd done a few TV shows and movies that were wonderful experiences, but I knew deep down that it wasn't what I was meant to do all the time. And I did a movie recently, about like a year and a half ago, and it was a really cool movie. It was called Sons of God, and I played this young gay Orthodox Jewish boy who, you know, takes his own life, and it was a really juicy, dramatic role. But in doing that, I'd played stuff on Nickelodeon and whatever else, which was always fun, but I had always wanted these juicy roles, and to get this juicy role and to not be as excited as I should have been was sort of the pivoting moment of me realizing somebody else should have this role, because I am not as appreciative as I should be. And that's how I decided that music was really what I wanted to focus on mainly. And I'm so glad I did, because those moments in your life, no is hard to say to opportunities and things of any success. It's hard to say no to, but it's so important to if it's not where your heart is. I think that the music that I made a few years ago I always was craving the hit songs and things like that and connecting with people, and I think that there's a backfiring moment when you write to try to appease people, or you write to try to make something big or successful. And in doing so, there were some things that I'm proud of, but a lot of songs that could have been way better if I had just committed to what the message was that I was going for, the goal was. And I feel like now with songs like with Lights Down Low, I talk about it a lot, that it was the first song that I just wrote for my really, really rad, awesome wife. And I didn't think about how it could be on the radio or how big it could be or any of those things. I just wanted to create something special for someone I loved, and ironically, that's the one that's on the radio we get to perform everywhere and talk about. And it was a big lesson that no matter where that goes, you have to always come back to that initial feeling of why you do what you do and why you create what you create, and why do you want to do it? Is it because you want a big plaque on your wall? Is it because you want a lot of money? Yeah, or that. Or is it because you want to do something that means something to people, or or just, I think that was a big crucial moment for me, realizing the kind of music that I wanted to continue to make and not let it be tainted by any idea of fame or success. Ooh, that's a really great question too. I think that it's very, I think a lot of times I forget, unless I meet certain people, what maybe something we've done has done in their life or been a part of their life, and it's the greatest honor when someone is inspired by something that I've done or is following. It's really cool when people know the little things like about Hell's Kitchen or whatever else I try to rep everywhere. It's so beautiful when they really are as invested as we are, and in that way it is a pressure, but it's a pressure to not cave in to anything, do anything that I really am not believing in or something I'm not proud of, and that's the greatest part of the pressure, is that they are there because they are passionate about what we're doing, and that has to be authentic every time. And I think that's it's wonderful about the pressure of it. I think that I'm definitely a very smiley human, so the clean image just kind of came naturally in a lot of ways. But for a little bit, it was a little too put on. Like the places that I associated myself with, Nickelodeon and whatever else, just kind of came with the territory. And now I don't want to ever be afraid to, I am a happy person, and I'm not going to be necessarily. Tweeting things about really dark. I have dark moments as well, but that's not all I'm going to be putting out there. And I think that in that it's clean, it's allowed me to be able to authentically say the moments that aren't so clean in life. Saying that it's cool to be happy, and it's cool to just have songs that are about enjoying yourself and falling in love or whatever else. But in doing so, it's also important to acknowledge that sometimes we feel at our lowest and want to hurt ourselves or don't believe in ourselves, and I think that was something that came along with just having the sort of clean image already. And now when I say fuck, 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 it's okay, because that's just who I am, and I can say fuck, 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 but I'm not going to say fuck, fuck, fuck every day. Ooh.
Most of the recent songs.
Yes, girl. I would say, just Emily in general is what made me so inspired to be open about it. We were secretly married for so long because we were afraid for a bit that people would, that a lot of people said, oh, if you are open about not being a single guy in your 20s, nobody's going to listen to your music. And that kept happening over and over again. It's this strange stigma, stereotype about it. And the second that we said, you know what, that's not who I am, that's not who we are, we were open about it, and people embraced it rather than the fear of them running away. That sort of inspired everything else, inspired me to say, let's be transparent about everything. We're having a pregnancy scare. I want that to be a song, because I'm not going to write about going to a strip club if I'm not going to a strip club. If I am, tight, I'll write about it. But I want to write about the things that are authentic to our life, and hopefully those are authentic to other people's lives too, and hopefully that's what connects them with us. Totally. It's cool. I mean, what's really beautiful is, we love having wonderful open female fans. I love when, I think there's this stigma that happens with certain young female fans that some of the ages, they feel like they have to act too cool or something, or they can't be open about maybe being into something like being into love. Maybe they don't want to give over to maybe having that idea of love, but it's the most beautiful when someone like that, or just someone who's open in general, gives over to the idea of love and knows that it does exist. My wife and I have fights sometimes. We throw pillows around and I break things, but we also figure it out every time, and we want to be hopefully a positive image of a relationship that's healthy in an industry that probably doesn't really encourage that, and it's even more cool when grown men are into it too. We're like, yeah, playa, I'm so glad you're in the Army and you dig this love story and you're gonna get married to Lights Down Low. That is the coolest thing ever. So yeah, we're really excited to be a part of people's lives in that way. I think that definitely a huge part of my idea of love has come from my parents, and seeing how they have always been real with me about how they work things out and how they are as a relationship, and that definitely instilled a lot in me. But otherwise, oh cool, you just gonna go, boo?
Keep forgetting about sex.
That's okay. So anyway, I think that has been really helpful because they were always so honest about the hardships in their relationship and the love in their relationship, and that gave me an ushy-gushy feeling of it. And I've always been really just into relationships and love and investing yourself in other people, and I invest myself a lot in other people, and especially in a relationship, so that's probably where it came from. And Disney movies and stuff like that, you know, all that stuff. I would say I'm not very religious. I was raised Jewish, and my mom is Christian as well. So we sort of, and I was talking with Emily about how we want to raise our kids, and that, you know, I think that that belief is so important, and that's in any way, whether it's in a religious way or in a spiritual way that you hear a lot. But I definitely believe in different moments of the universe. I think that things happen for a reason. I think that I'm very religious about the universe, but I'm not necessarily specifically religious about a particular religion. I think that I've finally been the most accepting of my personality after getting married, because I think that it was before I'm still insecure in certain ways, but I've accepted so many more of my insecurities that make me who I am, make people who they are, because of my wife and getting married and feeling like I don't have to impress anybody anymore. I already got my lady, I got my wife, we good. I'm ready to just go into the world and be the most myself I can be, you know, whether that's with chrome nails or saying baby all the time, or, you know, wearing ridiculous things. It's just fun to be authentic to that. Oh wow, what a wonderful question. It's interesting because I've grown up with a lot of death in my family. I have a lot of, my dad's family especially had, you know, like he had 8 aunts, and so that was a large older family. My great aunt Alice just died recently at 103, which was really cool. But it made me realize that every day that's a big part of it too, of wanting to be remembered just for hopefully never holding anything back, and hopefully giving people the courage to not hold anything back, and also for love. You know, this story of Lights Down Low and getting to marry people at our shows and getting to see people invite the music into their lives in such a real way. That's all I want to be remembered for in that way. I hope to be a part of people's lives with the music and with what we're doing, and I hope that it's something that continues an energy in their relationships and their families to come. That's all. I hope that I don't even need to be remembered, but I hope that the energy that we're trying to bring to the world continues to resurface itself throughout people's lives.